The end of the world as we know it. It's the end of the world as we know it. This is the end. This is the end. This is the end. It's the end of the world as we know it. This is the end. This is the end. Yeah, we will turn into tar from the force. Being engulfed in flames is par for the course. A cola super deep or a holy in one. Human hot pockets from a golden sun. We all gonna have mannequin mannerisms. It was written in the earth, vandalism. We will bathe in ground, breaking seismic waves. The voice of reason left in the Isaac haze as lightning crashed through the ground. This the end? A supercell thunderstorm blast through your town. You're gonna see the gleams before you hear the screams. Cause light travels faster than sound. One volt is 300 million volts. Who knew positive reinforcement can cause negative results? The black clouds in the sky looks like a Rorschach test. What if there's no more cure for the black death? Are we dying from a bubonic plague or an atomic age? Christian crusades or an Islamic rage? How to create a doomsday for dummies, we're on the final page. The sun on its final stage, the globe will expand. When a supernova lands, your skin starts to bubble like liquid in a soda can. So much so it can leave Canada dry. 5,000 kilometers in diameter wide. It's the end of the world as we know it. This is the end. This is the end. This is the end. It's the end of the world as we know it. This is the end. This is the end. Yeah. If the earth was hit by a moon-sized crater rocks, that'll make an asteroid look like a tater tot. Leave a hole the size of a giant dust bowl. It's a blowout sale, everything must go. Crush souls in such an ungodly way, or from a biohazardous body spray. Eastern seaboard is where it closely landed, mostly in the Atlantic. Splash causing tidal waves that are oceanic, damaging the upholstery of the planet. That will definitely drench the earth. A flood will especially quench your thirst. Tornadoes causing power spins, accompanied by 300 miles per hour winds. Sputnik energy, we underfund. That fireball in the sky is our public enemy number one. So it doesn't matter if your Uzi weighs a ton, it can't block those UV rays from the sun. So having a wide-eyed stare is not a bright idea. The light in the high sky air will look like tie-dye smeared as the number of people killed surge. This mother's nature version of the film Purge. Whether you're an angry black or full of white rage, we're all gonna be living in the ice age. The number one opponent of mine, someone who's optimistic about an apocalyptic moment in time. It's the end of the world as we know it. This is the end. This is the end. This is the end. It's the end of the world as we know it. This is the end. This is the end. This is the end. It's the end of the world as we know it.
Yeah. You already know it's the Galactic One. Elenud.il. We back cracking spells. Shout out to all the Galactic Guardians, 720 degrees. Shout out to the whole URO, everybody living in the universal right order. Shout out to the House of Consciousness, Connecticut chapter. This message being brought to you by K.O.R TV, Kingdom of Righteousness TV. The show is called Wake Up Sheeple. Y'all already know how I do. We about to jump right into the demonstration. I say to all the great prophets, ancestors, aiders, messiahs, messengers who came before, making a platform available so we could be here today, giving you the message. I say, jumping right into this demo on this glorious galactic day of Black Money Mondays. Y'all know how I like to do. It's the galactic one, so we're going to jump right in with the supreme extreme mathematics of things and get right into our demo today, talking about the Black Bolue Archons. The Black Bolue Archons. So let's get right in, man. Shout out to all the Galactic Guardians. Haru Well. My brother Asar, Monchu, White Panther, Ty Seti, the whole community, SB, Supreme Being, Abe, Nate the God, the whole community, baby Masasi and all that. But jumping right in to all the galactic goddesses, all the Mahatnias of Morocco, all the Shoshone Nubian warriors and all of that, we around. Jumping right into the demo, extreme supreme mathematics for the day on the Gregorian frequency of things will be 3/9/2026, March 9th. March 9th. Talk about that. Uh, you're going to get 22, the wisest of the wise, being the wisest of the wise, right? 2 plus 2 gets you 4, all being born to culture freedom, all being born to culture freedom, right? So, what are we talking about when we talk about culture freedom? We're talking about our way of life, okay? From an extreme, supreme mathematical standpoint of view, your culture is to have a way of life. And understand the root word in culture is cult, okay? So, any form of culture that you're following or you living in or that you live by is a cult, okay? So we're going to jump back into that. Remember that note. Any form of culture is a cult. Okay. And so all being born to culture freedom, your way of life, and to having a free dome, unmolested by the devil's uncivilization, right? As you navigate through the devil's uncivilization, you want to be travel unmolestedly, right? In thoughts, and you want to have a free dome. Nobody can hinder your thoughts. But that's not what's happening to us today. We don't live the divine laws of culture freedom. Okay. And we're going to talk about that because somebody's playing a part and help shape and mold in the so-called culture that we have today. Right. And today's demo is about the Black Boule Archons. So we're going to talk about the Boule a little bit, and we're going to talk about what is the Archon, what's the relationship here. I just did a demo a couple days ago talking about the Archons. So for those that don't know what Archons are, they're malevolent beings in the Gnostic religious text of things or religious sense of things. They are the creators of the material world and the harvesters that trap the divine spark of human souls, right? These are the ones who trap the divine spark of your human soul, okay? These entities, according to Gnostic script, which is, the Gnostic script, which is in the Nag Hammadi library, a book I have personally that I tap into and read out. I suggest you read that so y'all can get a understanding a little bit more. But these people, these archons, were created to by a demiurge called Yaldabaoth. Yaldabaoth would be your Yahweh in the Bible. Your God Yahweh in the Bible is synonymous to Yaldabaoth in the Gnostic teachings. He is the ruler of this so-called world who created these archons, these benevolent beings, to actually rule in secrecy. Archon, it means to be, they are hidden demons. That's what an archon is. It's a hidden demon. And so they rule where you can't really see the ruler. You don't understand that they're ruling, but they're ruling, right? And so when we think about the world, we be saying, damn it, can it be just a couple of families out here just running this shit? People that's real wealthy and rich and all of that, blah, blah, blah. Are they the ones basically controlling this whole goddamn systematic lifestyle that we live in, or program way of life, or normalized way of life that we live? It's very interesting when you start to tap into the science of it. Like I said, these archons are malevolent beings that are hidden demons. Okay. So understand this culture that we live in today. in America, for us as black people, we live in something called the hip hop culture. And the hip hop culture, uh, we all were indoctrinated into it. We all fell into it, played a part, helped perpetuate it, get it to this level that it's on today. Whether you want to accept it or not, you definitely participated in the elevation of what we call hip hop culture. Now, on this day, March 9th, 29 years ago, an artist by the name of Notorious B.I.G., Biggie Smalls, Christopher Wallace lost their life in Los Angeles. And Biggie Smalls is definitely one of the major influences for these generations, these past two, three generations that was here. Biggie Smalls play a part, as a major part. Top five MCs, they got him as the best of all time and all this stuff and all these different things. So we definitely want to give a rest in peace shout out to Biggie Smalls, his contribution to hip hop, blah blah blah. Unfortunately, the brother lost his life, due to this hip hop culture, right? Due to a culture that uh we have supposed to have created, but that's not, we didn't create hip hop culture. I want people to understand hip hop culture is not our culture. Our culture is called park jams, if you follow me. When we was bringing the stereo outside with your mother's record player and the speaker, and then the people turn on the hydrant and the kids is playing and the niggas walk by and the other crew that's from over there, they start battling and the girls is dancing and all of that. That is a park jam. We just outside getting it together. Somebody grabbed a mic, hyping it up, whoop de whoop whoop, and that was our thing. That's what we created. Somebody seen that and wanted to capitalize on that and market that and package that up. And so hip hop is more of a product based thing. It's not, coming from the park jam aspect. The things that we created being freedom. We had freedom when we was doing that stuff in the park jams. That was a culture freedom. Once they got a hold of it, it no longer became our culture. You know what I'm saying? So I want people to understand that because there are people in play who will capitalize off our culture. Um, etc. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, unfortunately, Biggie lost his life. There's a lot of allegations today about Sean Puffy Combs having something to do with him losing his life. You know what I'm saying? And he's another one in this hip hop culture who helped shape and mold the culture to what it is today. He's responsible for a lot of people's careers, rather they're successful or not successful. You know what I'm saying? They say, there's a lot of allegations on the brother, but we know today the things that they revealed in court about him and blah, 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 and all the upper echelon type of people and villains that he was dealing with. Very powerful brother in the music industry, blah, blah, blah. So when you think about these boule people, you know, um, these boule people, man, are supposed to be these rich, black, wealthy people, who started off way before the colleges started their little fraternities and sorority and things like that. Before that shit was even in the colleges, the boule had already started. You feel me? So I want people to have that understanding. This is before the college shit. The boule, comes before all the alphas and the sigmas and all that shit. Before all of that, you got the black boule. You dig? And so, with that being said, it trickles down all the way about wealth and power, right? So these families get together and they orchestrate and they say, we're going to select the next people that come up in this game, that we call in life, in whatever field it may be, not just entertainment. I don't want people to get it confused and twisted because it's not just the entertainment field, but these people eventually get to a level of controlling uh, the influence by selecting certain individuals to carry out a certain agenda. You know what I'm saying? A hidden agenda. a hidden demonic agenda. You know what I'm saying? Because it's coming back to those archons, like I told you, and the boule males are being used as archons. It's funny that they call them archons, the males of the boule. And these wealthy black people, I'm not knocking nobody's success and all that, but it's not considered a good thing of success if you shitting on your own people. So you doing things for your own self gain, and you're not really helping your community to that degree. You're actually luring your community into more fuckery, and you're doing it for $1, so your soul can be compromised to that degree. You're helping trap souls. You're helping trap these souls at the end and the beginning of the day. So it prevents us from basically spiritually escaping. You know, when we deal with what we call entertainment, right? When we deal with what we call entertainment, it basically traps our souls like the archons would do to the divine sparks of human life, right? So when you think about entertainment, what is entertainment? Entertainment means to basically get a hold of your mind, to enter and get a hold of your mind, right? Because the word tame means to get a hold of, and ment is comes from the Latin momentum, which means mind. So they're entering your mind and they're getting a hold of it. That's what entertainment is. That's the purpose of it. Is to get a hold of your mind. So when someone wants to entertain you, you're actually they got a hold on your mind. And this is all created when you think about the entertainment industry. One of the key players in that is the brother named Jewel Stein, or Steen, however you want to call it. Jewish brother, started off with the MCA thing in the early 1800s. He lived all the way, I think, to like 1980 some or 93 or some shit like that. He lived for a good grip. So he played a significant part and role in shaping what we call entertainment and showbiz today. This person right here. But that's a whole nother demonstration on his affiliation to the higher ecologues, the higher ups and the people in the higher echelons in life, how they help and shape and mold and control with a plan. This shit is all planned. They got playbooks. These people are creating playbooks and designing and saying this is how they want to set things up so that future generations will, it's a result. They want to see the result, and it's working for them. This stuff is actually working. You know what I mean? And so, like I said, this entertainment industry and company is very deep. How they use influencers to help perpetuate and trap the souls of those sparks, right? And so this type of science, like I said, the archons themselves, they can be identified by the planets in the zodiac. Okay, that's how you identify these certain archons. So Monday is a certain archon, Tuesday is a certain archon, Wednesday is a certain archon. Just like the zodiac signs, those are certain archons, basically according to the Gnostic teachings. Now we got to remember that this Gnostic stuff, they were saying that these entities were planetary demons. So you got different types of demons, interdimensional motherfuckers that's on galactic. There's different type of demons. But these specific demons that the Gnostics were describing were saying that these demons, these hidden demons, were planetary demons. And the word demon is synonymous to demand. You know what I'm saying? Just to throw that out there. So these people are very demandful. They're demanding. They're not commanding. God went with commandments. They are demanding, right? And basically, this Gnostic stuff goes all the way back and originated to the first and second century AD and it's a combination of things. This book, the Naga Hammadi, it's a combination of basically Christian, Jewish, Greek, and Persian ideologies. So, it's not exactly what you think it is. You know what I'm saying? But these things go way back, to ancient Egyptian teachings prior to, it comes back to ancient mystery schools, going into the Kabbalistic aspect of things, then down into the Gnostic aspect of stuff. Then as it goes into the Gnostic aspect, then it goes into the Knights Templar, start to form into what we call the Knights Templar aspect of it. Then from the Knights Templar aspect, you get the Rosicrucian aspect. Once you go from the Knights Templar aspect, excuse me, you get down to the Rosicrucian. And then from after the Rosicrucian, which was, ran by Pascal Beverly, a black man, okay, that's another demonstration we get into. But from the Rosicrucian, then you get to the Illuminati, Freemasonry, okay? You jump all the way down into the Illuminati, Freemasonry aspect of things. And so now we talking some 1776 Adam Weishaupt and all that, or whatever, the Bavarian Society, ETC, and all that, right? We talking all of those from that era. So you got to think those brothers, when they had these lodges and all this stuff set up in the early 17 to 1800s, with Pascal Beverly Randolph, passing that baton, or those people are taking those knowledges from Madame Blavatsky's and all of those people who was around then, and they taking those jewels, they starting their own little organizations and flipping and bouncing them, right? All the way down to where they allow the Black Boule to have their own charter. I'll get that date for y'all. I wrote it down somewhere. The date when they actually first started. It's early 1900s though. Around the same time, once they started that, the colleges in the early 1900s, right? Because education is very important, and that's how you create a narrative and you shape and mold the minds of people by keeping his story perpetuated. And so they had black people in play that was in agreement to help perpetuate white supremacy still. You dig what I'm saying? Or help perpetuate it in a way that is hidden. You feel me? So they chose and selected certain blacks and put them in position to combat certain blacks that was trying to uplift their peoples and come up out of that and be sovereign and independent from these people. It's a deeper story than what y'all can actually fathom, right? So these colleges start to get birth, like the Howards and the you got your Howards, you got your Indianas, your Cornells, your Butlers, and your Morgan States. These are colleges that basically help the HBCU thing go down, with the black colleges things, right? Private colleges. I guess Howard was supposed to have been a private college. You know what I'm saying? Blah, blah, blah. So that has a lot to do. We got to do a demonstration on the college thing and understand how did these people get in play in order to have these so-called black colleges, and who were the head people in charge, because the curriculum of the education is very important of what they're teaching, what they're pushing, because that's going to be the narrative. You know what I'm saying? And so, like I said, you had these certain colleges that was out that started these first fraternities, right? Or these first sororities, okay? Meaning male and female different organizations in the college, right? That were like similar to the occult organizations. Note that they're dealing with Greek lettering. So it's more of a Greek ideology, right? Um, and so you had the Alpha Phi Alpha in 1906 in Cornell University. You had the Alpha Kappa Alpha sorority 1908 in Howard. You had the Kappa Phi Psi fraternity 911 in Indiana. The Omega Psi Phi frat 1911 in Howard. The Delta Sigma Theta sorority 1913 Howard. The Phi Beta Sigma frat 1914 Howard. The Zeta Phi Beta sorority 1920 Howard. The Sigma Gamma Roy sorority 1922 Butler. The older Ido Phi frat 1963 Morgan State. So I was just giving y'all those places where they set up these shops. The geographic mean a lot too. You know what I'm saying? About what slave owners was there prior to that. You got to do the whole one to all of that. You know, who was there prior to all of this stuff even being, why they even letting people have colleges, you know, and shit like that in these areas. So it's a reason for all of that. And when you combine those different sororities together, you get a divine nine. They call it the divine nine. And this divine nine has a national pan Hellenic council, right? And they make sure that they set it up to where they select newer people to come in. You know what I'm saying? And put them in position. So what they do is they get into every field and every walk of life. Someone goes be a doctor. Someone go be a fireman. Someone go be a cop. Someone go be a lawyer. Someone go. They get in all the real areas of life, work their way up. But then they pull in other people. But you got to be selected, or you got to be part of the fraternity. So that's how that works. You know what I'm saying? You got to go in, join the order, blah blah blah, and they keep it coming, they keep it coming, they keep feeding that same, chain of command. The NAACP was also birthed around that time, who just had a little award thing for Black History Month just recently, which got a lot to do with shaping the narrative and controlling how we think and perceive things, is what I'm saying. This stuff was all put into play by a brother named W.E.B. Du Bois. W.E.B. Du Bois, Webb Du Bois. His nigga name was Webb when you break down the acronym. So he was trapping niggas in the web way back then, but that was to get people to uh, pacify people while Marcus Garvey was coming with a whole nother approach. This is at the time when Marcus Garvey was around. So he was there to combat against what Marcus Garvey was pushing to get 6 million blacks to leave America, go to Liberia, start their own shit over, blah, blah, blah. He had the ships ready. He had all that. This is a black man from the islands who basically was going against the Rockefellers and the Carnegies and the Illuminati. This dude was going against that shit way back then. If you listen to his speeches, he was mentioning them motherfuckers and everything. So this is how powerful that was. But it's a flip side to as two coins. I mean, it's two sides to every coin. So even when it comes to Garvey, they be trying to throw salt and slander some of the things that he was doing, and calling his shit fraudism and all this other stuff too. But you can see, I'm just giving you the prime example how W.E.B. Du Bois was the person who was the maid to go against and start some shit to keep black people in black over here and all of that instead of listening to the Garvey shit, right? And so that's like in the hip hop culture where you get Master P who comes out down south, independent, out the trunk, successful, blowing up on his own, no record labels, blah, blah, blah. But the record label people say, oh, we're going to go give Cash Money and them $33 million to compete against Master P. See, they had to use the divide and conquer type of strategy on us in order to keep their game going. You know what I'm saying? So they gave them brothers 33 million just so they could blow bigger than Master P was doing on his own because he didn't want to take their deals. You know what I'm saying? So remember, like I said, W.E.B. Du Bois was basically a person who, at that time, in that time frame of things, he was siding with Europeans, giving charters, getting down with them, da 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 da. You know what I'm saying, or whatever it is. So it looks like he's helping black people, but in hidden hiddenly or secretly, there's another agenda going down, right? And so we got to be mindful of those things. We got to pay attention and look a little bit deeper into certain things and not just taking them because somebody said, "Yo, this person is that," and we just ran with it. This person was that in his story. Because history is going to give you his version of it. So of course they're going to glorify people, certain people that help them out, and say, "Hey, as long as you did this for us, we're gonna keep your name like this, like that, and third. That's how we gonna put it down." You know what I'm saying? And so understand in those times, these people look at us still to this day, from the beginning of time until now, they still really categorize and classify us and look at us in a certain way. So for one, you start off as a field nigga. You always start there. Not gonna respect you. They want niggas to be field niggas in their world, right? You know what I'm saying? That's the bottom of the motherfucking totem pole. Field niggas in their eyes. You know what I mean? And picking cotton for a living. Then you step it up. You become a house nigga. You know what I'm saying? You can move it on up and become a house nigga. Living in the house with the master now. Now, you know what I'm saying? You got a little bit more privileges. You get to drink lemonade. You know what I'm saying? And shit like that. So from there, you step it on up to the Uncle Tom. When you become the Uncle Tom, and Tom means twin, but it also means an animal, right? It also means a form of an animal, a male animal at that, like a tomcat. So you'll do anything for the master, basically, when you become an Uncle Tom, right? You become an Uncle Tom, you say, "Oh no, I don't like those niggas," you become Uncle Ruckus, more or less. The whole Uncle Ruckus aspect is the Uncle Tom part. You know what I'm saying? How they look at you. They'll accept you and let you in if you're willing to shit on your own kind, blah, blah, blah. Then, once you graduate from the Uncle Tom and it's just already respected if you got wealth and stuff like that, then you are a tycoon. The coon that becomes a tycoon. The one that dresses up and do all this shit for entertainment and make his people look bad and all that goofy shit and all that for the wealth, for personal gain. That's tycoon. You see what I'm saying? And we have a bunch of tycoons today. About 22 so-called tycoons. All right? About 22 of them running around. So you can see how this is levels to this, how they see us and where they're going to put you at and position you. You know what I'm saying? It's clear as day nowadays. You're not just going to make it because you just gifted and talented or God blessed you and all of this. None of that shit is real, bro. It's all selected, man, and it's controlled and orchestrated. You know what I mean? It's all controlled and orchestrated. Now, when you think about being a celebrity, right? Going back into, you know, the Latin word celebritas, this is 15 in the 1500s celebrity what it really meant to be a celebrity because what we call celebrity today is not the origin of the word. When you look the root of the word up etymologically, you're going to see that celebrity is somebody that basically uh performs religious rites or ceremonies. The person that performs the religious rite or ceremony back in the 1500s, that was considered you're a celebrity. You know what I'm saying? And so we took that same thing and kind of applied that science into entertainment. And when we make these people celebrities, they're still performing these rites and ceremonies in our face when they make the videos, when they do the songs, when they do all these different things. it's still kind of like they're the same people who was doing the celebrities for the religious act. But what religion is this? The religion that you're dealing with is the jinn energy. You're relying on jinn, religion. You're relying on jinns, you know, smokeless fire, as they say in Arabic. Okay, but these jinns or this religion, you know, is what basically keeps you trapped and bound. Okay, and to be when you are the fan, they call us fans and they call us celebrities. Now, when you become a fan, you're basically a fanatic, a single-minded person full of zeal. You know what I'm saying? You're going to the extreme with the shit, right? So that's religiously, politically, for whatever cause it may be, but you're a fanatic extremely. Coming from the word phantom, which means temple in Latin, right? Or fanaticus, a temple inspired by God, right? So as an adjective, the word fanatic is the behaviors described from a possession by God or by demons. So to become a fanatic, the adjective of the word, it means your behaviors described from possessions by gods or demons, where religious get the words mantic from. Okay? When you hear them religiously say mantic and stuff like that, this is that. That's a possession. Okay, by God or by demons. Interesting, huh? That fans are being possessed by demons, you know? But you have to see it that way as a fan. You know what I'm saying? When you look at the reaction of the people, Michael Jackson had motherfuckers bawling out, crying, falling out, passing out, stuff that fans would do. You know what I'm saying? Some fans get so radical they'll kill you. You know what I'm saying? And this is what we're fanning over. You know what I mean? This type of entertainment. These are the things that got a hold of our minds. Especially our youth is being affected by this stuff. Because the older you get, you start to realize, that shit don't sound too good. You start listening to that music. Like, what the hell was I listening to as a kid? They were saying this and they were saying that. Like, we didn't know Biggie was saying all those gay lines. We didn't catch on till later. Now niggas is like, yeah, that shit crazy. He suck on your daddy's dick and all this shit he's saying, and even though that was a jokey line or whatever. But still, we're saying it now because all this gay, homophobic energy and reptilian energies on the planet, we can see it more. You know what I'm saying? We can see it more. But jumping in on a positive note of this Black Money Mondays, I definitely want to jump into Christina Jenkins. You know what I'm saying? Powerful black lady, very creative, showing our creativity and showing how we got to a bag. You know what I'm saying? Well, we create things that cause a bag every time. Our creations and our inventions are like, what I'm saying, some of the most wealthiest things that we could ever do. But how many of you knew that Christina Jenkins was the first woman, period, that created the sew and weave? Huh? How many of y'all knew that Miss Christina Jenkins, I think her last name was Thomas, actually, before she got married to the pianist dude, and they was from Louisiana, Texas, and all of that type of stuff. She went to college, studied science, and all this other stuff. Got married to some pianist nigga named Jenkins. They end up, I think, moving to Chicago. They end up moving to Chicago, where they got it popping at, and then she went to school. She was in like a factory, working in some type of wig factory, blah blah blah. And she found herself all the way back into Ohio, where she first did the sewing shit, when she first created her first sewing weave thing was in Shaker Heights. So shout out to Ohio and the Ohio women that do hair, because it's a big thing out there. The women out there, they stay on their hair shit, blah blah blah. There's a lot of women that's into doing hair. It's a lot of salons and all that stuff out in that area, especially Cleveland and Shaker Heights and all that, where she lived at. So she was a resident of Shaker Heights, and she did some powerful things, man. She started a whole little training division of hair weave out there. This was back in 1951 when she created the patent. Locked it down, had a patent for sewing weave shit. She was the first one to do it. Like, nah, y'all niggas not gonna jack my shit, blah blah blah. You know what I'm saying? And like I said, she had this training division on how to do the hair, teaching women how to do hair. And she started her own salon, Penthouse Salons, from 1959 all the way to 1993. 1959 all the way to 1993. That was the 93. So yeah, yeah, 1993 is how long Shorty put it down. So shout out to Christina Jenkins for all that great work she did. But the sad part about it is other people started biting her shit, right? And doing it without uh, her permission. And legally, they wouldn't honor her privacy laws that she signed a patent back then. You feel what I'm saying? And motherfuckers jacked her shit and all of that and all that. So she definitely didn't receive the wealth and the profit that she was supposed to get off of what she created in all reality. You know what I'm saying? Look how many women today is doing the weed shit and all of that shit. Do you know we spend damn near $3 billion to $9 billion yearly on hair? Black women. I'm not talking about nobody else. I'm talking about black women. We spend $3.35 billion, man, annually. And that was in 2003, 2004, checking the statistics of it, to $9 billion. $9 billion? You see what I'm saying? That's a crazy ass number to be spending on some goddamn hair. You know what I mean? But just think about how much powerful we could be if you took that money and spent it on something else besides hair, because you're beautiful with your natural hair anyway. Our definition of beauty has been fucked up. You know what I'm saying? You don't even like how God made you naturally. You don't like your kinky or kingly crown that you have, because there's nothing wrong with your curly nine ether hair. You're beautiful. I would love to see more women without the weave, and just so I can know how you really is and how you really looking and all that other type of shit. All the other shit is facade, made up, da da da. It's good to dress up, decorate, and all that's cool. But your hair is your crown. You know what I'm saying? And you should honor that. You know what I mean? If anything, and I can see if you got like skull problems or some shit going on and you got to cover it up and do all that. That's cool too. You know what I'm saying? But respect be that these weaves and stuff. You know what I mean? Brothers like natural to keep it a buck. Brothers be liking the natural stuff, man. You know, so we just got to be realistic about that. Overstand. You women, you're beautiful without all that weave stuff. You could spend that money, 9 billion. Y'all could spend that money. And my thing is, if you, I check the statistics, right, to see, how many black people are getting in on this hair weave shit. There's so much money in that shit. If they making 3 billion to 9 billion a year, why aren't black people getting any of that money back? Why is it circulating back in our community? You know how much money circulate back to our community when it comes to that? Only $142.26 million, man. 142 million ain't enough out of 3 billion to 9 billion, y'all. You know what I'm saying? Just for some fucking weed, some bundles. You mean tell me we spending 9 billion on this shit right here? 9 billion for some hair? Come on, man. Come on, man. See, and another thing, overstand, man, there was laws that was passed on y'all, man, because of just how y'all was naturally. Back in Louisiana, man, back in the 1700s, man, 1786, a Spanish governor by the name of Esteban Mero in Louisiana forced free women of color. Listen to those words. He forced the free women. So that means there was free people running around in 17 something, all that other shit, whatever it is. Everybody was not slaves, right? Okay. So the free women of color had to cover their hair. Because if you a slave, you got to cover your shit. Regardless, you got to do what the fuck I say. You a slave. But it was obviously free women where they had to pass a law in Louisiana to say, yo, nah, make them motherfuckers cover their hair up, because the white women got mad at the black girls. because they was beautiful with their hair and all that shit. And white men wanted the black ladies, right? This is what that whole Boussier thing with the big fake butts, and they wearing those big dresses with the big fake butts because they wanted the Sarah Bartman asses and all of that type of shit. We was already naturally that, looking, walking around, fly, and all of that, and the white man was loving it, right? White man was loving that type of shit, so they passed that law. So wrap that shit up, right? The Tignion law was passed in 1786, right? To cover up your hair in a scarf to suppress your own beauty, to suppress your beauty. Now, when you was able to take the scarf off, you start covering it up with other shit and cutting it down and putting all kind of killing and killing your shit. You know what I'm saying? But y'all was so ill when they did pass the law on y'all. Y'all made the headdress so fly that the motherfucking white man wanted y'all even more. Yeah, he wanted y'all even more. You know what I'm saying? So overstand, man. You're beautiful the way you are, the way God designed you. And you got to know that for yourself. Shouldn't have to go off somebody telling you that. You know what I'm saying? You should know that. Fuck feeling like that. I don't even want you to feel like that. I want you to know that shit because you got something nobody don't got. You know what I'm saying? You possess things that people are dying to have. They want to be like you while you taking on other people's images. You know what I'm saying? So don't be so quick to fall for things that they're trying to influence us with. You know what I'm saying? Because somebody has an agenda and they're making a lot of money off of us. They're making a lot of money. You know what I'm saying? So we got to get a little bit smarter, man. It's 2026. The master teacher came. He told us about the half an hour. He came and taught. He did his thing. This is the final half an hour to the hour. He taught us about the hour. He came for the first 30 years. He taught us from 1970 all the way up into 2000. This was our chance to do what we got to do till 2030, man. We got 4 years to go. You know, we got 4 years to go. They talked about the world coming to an end as we know it, right? In 2030. What does that mean? Figure it out for yourself. But you could see it happen. You could see it happen. You know what I'm saying? We're on the verge of something massive, destructive, really about to happen. So people got to get it together, man. This money that we wasting and blowing on weed, and I'm gonna get on the brothers too. But this one right here is just for the ladies today. Like I said, if we spending 3.5 billion, $3 billion to $9 billion on hair weed. If we could do that shit, man, listen, bro. Like I don't know why the fuck we on some dumb shit. That's all I can basically say. That's just a spell. That's just a spell of ignorance. That's all I can say. And we doing this shit yearly. I'm talking about yearly, bro. 9 billion every year, man. We gotta wake up, Sheeple, man. We gotta wake up, Sheeple. Remember, you beautiful just the way you are. It's been another galactic, glorious day. Y'all traveling in harmony. Peace.
Yeah.
Squares in your tight circle, vice versa. Higher your standards, your morals, and your life's virtue.